Here we go. Here we go. Amanda, Christy, Pastor Jim, Sky Legends Gaming for Jesus is watching on YouTube. He's watching on the big 82-inch flat screen. I see Jacob's in there with him on YouTube. April, my lovely wife. Christy, did I miss anybody? Tina Steele. Awesome. You might want to tag some people. I don't know if they're all here. I don't know. There's 13 of them here. That's cool. They don't say nothing. That's fine. But this is my testimony. And if you have questions during it, you can say what you want in the chat. I didn't want to do this. I'm just being truthful. I did not want to do this. I'm trying to set you up on my TV and cook at the same time. Good luck. Good luck. I almost wanted you to come and join me in this testimony because you're part of that testimony, but I will do it without you. You could watch. So I know when April gave her testimony, I was sitting here with her and I was able to ask her questions and stuff like that. And the chat asked her questions as she went along, but I guess I'm supposed to do this by myself. But I'm going to read, I put the scripture up, Revelations 12, verse 11, and it says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." So that's what I'm doing. And I just happened to be on my phone and was trying to find that scripture. And I come across this, it says, "So we are called to be victorious by our testimony. By our words and lives, we must consistently declare the truth that Jesus is Lord. This will never be easy. In fact, we must be willing to sacrifice our lives, even as Jesus did." So that's what I'm doing. C-turn, don't play. Thank you for jumping on here. I got you on Twitch. I can't chat on YouTube for some reason. You have to hit the subscribe button and then you can. If you're not subscribed, you can't chat on YouTube. But you can watch me on here on Twitch. It's all the same. Fine. Still goes into chat. I get to see it. So that's what I come to do. This was, I don't know whose idea this was, but they talked me into it, so here we are. And I'm just going to give my testimony. It's been a while since I've given my testimony, and all I have is the chat to look at and this big lion. If you see the lion of the tribe of Judah on my screen, he's what's on my main screen, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, all right, Jesus, we can do this. We can do this. But we'll start out with a childhood that was raised in the church. That was me. I was raised in the church. I was raised in the revival. I remember not the log cabin, but the church that was built after the log cabin in Gleason. I remember the revival that went on there. I was there as a little child. And then they built the big church, and there was still a good revival going on there. I remember going to a little church in Hunkytown. I think that's what they called it. Little bitty concrete block church. I remember revivals there. I remember sleeping under the pews. I remember tucking my hands in and my legs in so they wouldn't get stepped on by old ladies that wanted to dance and shout. I was raised in that. Then I remember going to another church that was just across the bridge in the Knox County from Pike County. As soon as you cross the bridge, there was a little church out there, and I don't remember the name of that church now. It's burnt down now, it's gone. But I remember my uncle had that church, and I remember revival going on there. My whole childhood consisted of being raised in the church house. So I knew God as a young age. I remember 6 or 7, I think I was 7 years old. And I remember getting filled with the Holy Ghost. And I remember speaking in tongues when I was that old. And you know, I never spoke in tongues after that. But I remember being filled and speaking in tongues for the first time at 7 years old. Shortly after that, my dad was playing the drums there at that church, and he said, "Son, get up there and get on those drums." I never had a drum lesson, never was taught. I got on them and played like I'd played them all my life at 7 years old. It was a God-given talent. I've never been able to teach somebody how to play drums. I can't explain it. If you can't keep beat, I can't help you. I don't understand how you don't understand rhythm or beats. But like I said, I was never taught it. It was a gift that God put in me. And I played drums in church for I don't know how long, but the thing is when I began to start running around with friends at a young age, before I got my driver's license, we began to dabble in and do stuff, small stuff. It wasn't nothing big. We did all the bad stuff that children like to do and try to get away with. We tried all of those things. And it's different. It was different back then than it is now, because the attack of the enemy on the youth nowadays is so much earlier than it was for us. But I do remember I tried to get into the military in the 11th grade. I finished the 11th grade, and I tried, I think that summer, trying to get into the military. I tried the Air Force. No go. I couldn't pass the test that you got to take. I couldn't pass it. So I went to the Navy, took the test, couldn't pass it. I went to the Army. The test was supposed to be easier. I went to the Army, couldn't pass the test. I went to the National Guard, and they said, "You're going to get in this." And I took that test, and I failed that test again. And I went and took that test a second time, and I failed it again. And I was upset because that was what I wanted to do. But for some reason, God didn't open that door for me to get into the military. So after the second time I fell in the National Guard test, I said, "Well, that's it." And I didn't go back to 12th grade. I didn't go to senior year in school. So that kind of started I'm just going to do what I want to do thing. You got to remember, I'm an only child. I didn't have to share things with nobody. It was usually always about me, what I wanted to do. I can do it. And my mom and dad was pretty good at giving me really whatever I wanted. I can't say we were rich. We wasn't rich by no means, but I never lacked, never went without. I remember some hard times. I remember the electricity being shut off one time and we had to stay at our grandma's. I remember my mom and dad having hard times. I remember hearing my mom and dad fight. I remember those things, but I also remember my dad started truck driving over the road, and he was gone a lot. And I knew what I could get away with my mom. And so I tried all those things, and I thought I was pulling the rug over my mom's eyes, but she was just a mother, continued to love me and pray for me. I remember being in her bedroom with the door shut, praying for my soul, and probably praying for my dad because he was gone a lot. And I think my dad didn't have a real good childhood. And so he struggled with how to really take care of a family, I think. And I don't want to say too much, but his thing is I need to supply my family's needs. And so I got to do whatever I got to do. I got to work. If I don't work, we don't eat. He's always been stuck on that scripture and Bible. If I don't work and supply for my family, then, we're not going to have anything. So he worked really hard, and he's still working, still hitting the grind. But him not being home and knowing that I could run out and run out at nighttime and sneak out of the house, I did all those things. We got into small stuff, but I think it was in 91, actually, is where it really got bad. And that's when Jordan was born. my first wife that I got with, we got pregnant when she was still in her senior year, and she finished school. And there was a big fight over that whole ordeal for us to get married. I knew that she was pregnant. We needed to be married. That was instilled in me. We got to get married. We got to do that. That's the only right way. So we did get married. My uncle married us, and we had Jordan. He was born premature, and he was born in 91. And in 91, I think, was the year 90 or 91 that the first time I tried meth. And we just snorted meth back then, you know. And I liked it a lot. And then before all that, I smoked marijuana. I did hits of acid. We did all those things. When I got out of the house and could do what I wanted to do, I went as hard as I could, running from God. I run hard away from God. Even though I could hear him speak to me all the time, it never went away. No matter how hard I tried to get high to cover it up, it was always there. This was always there. And I remember one of the darkest times of my life. This is after Jordan and Kylie was both born. And I didn't work. I didn't want to work. I wanted to get high. That was my thing. I'm going to get high. So my wife did the working. She worked all the time. And that made me a horrible father. But in my darkest time, I remember that we were just chasing after the devil. I wanted to know everything that the devil had. You know, I've heard all about God and heard all about God. I want to see the realness of the devil, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I was running that direction. But listening to metal music, I got hooked on a band called White Zombie. And that that album never left my CD player. If it was in my truck or if it was in the house, that CD spun constantly, and I just kept implanting that into my mind, those songs, and chasing the devil as hard as I could. And back at that time, we were doing the best that we could with what we had, and we partied pretty hard. I partied a lot more than my wife did, but I sure did not help the situation. But I tried to run a body shop. I tried to run a business out of my garage. We kind of had I'm not going to go into everything, but I just want to share some of the dark places. I tried to run a body shop. I'd hired a guy to work for me, and basically, if I kept him high, you know, he would work for free. And we tried to run a body shop. I did the best that I could. I'd sleep till noon, get up. He had been at work already, working on whatever I had, and then I would run it the rest of the night because I was high and I wanted to stay up all night. So, of course, that business didn't last long. It came crashing down. I lost everything I had. I remember one time that somebody came to our house, and they brought a Ouija board in. And it was just one of those Ouija boards that you can buy at your local Walmart or wherever, because people don't think it's real. They think it's a game, but it's not. This was like one of the first breakthroughs that God made happen in my life. They brought that Ouija board in my house, and they were using it, playing with it, asking it questions, and it was saying all kinds of things, and it was giving them all kinds of answers. And I would, you know, it's supposed to be two people play with it. You know, you put your hand on it and another person put their hand on it, and it works together. So every time that I would kneel down and put my hands on the thing, and we would we would ask it questions, it would veer off and just not say anything. And I'd get frustrated, and I was like, this thing's stupid. And they're like, somebody else would play with it, and it would be like saying all kinds of stuff. And it was telling them that it was so and so that died on a shipwreck and whatever, and so and so. And I said, that thing's a liar. I said, that is not a person from 1860 something whatever talking to us from the. I said, that is nothing but a devil speaking to you. And then after that, they began to ask why it wouldn't say anything or answer any questions to me. And the thing spelled out, man, the thing spelled out said, because the Father's already chosen him. That night we burnt that board. We burnt some demonic books that we had. I said, this is over. I got to go back to church. So you might not believe in it, but the devil is a liar, but God wouldn't let him lie to me that night. The reason I put my hands on that thing is because I was sealed. I was already marked. Was already marked by Jesus long, long ago. And too many prayers have been prayed by my mother and my grandmother, and I'm sure my father and the rest of my family. I know that during that time where we were living at, my cousin Kenny, which he may watch this later, I remember he came to my house one time. God sent him there, and I was like, oh no, here he comes, this preacher Kenny. He come in, he didn't say anything about Jesus. He just wanted to come see me. And I think he just wanted to walk into the presence of the enemy, because that's what I was living in at that time. And I think he wanted to come, and who knows what he did. He probably pleaded the blood of Jesus over that place and prayed for me that I didn't even know. And I was just glad when he left. But he saw the filth that we were living in. He saw the trash piled up. He saw the roaches on the counter. He saw the nastiness of lost. He saw it. I mean, we might as well have been homeless living on the street. Even though we had a place to live and stuff like that, I know that we didn't have power for a long time. I know that we ran kerosene heaters to stay warm in the winter. And I know we had blankets up over all the walls in the trailer to all the other rooms so we could contain that heat. We had, those Coleman lights that we light at night. We were in the lowest of the low. There used to be a little storefront church in Winslow. Hey, bro.
What up, yo?
Here. I got to take this earbud out because my son just walked in.
They made me come down here.
Who did?
April.
April made you?
I put it up on the TV, and they're watching it on the TV in the bedroom.
So here's Jordan. So, yes, Jordan and Kylie were born into that. And I know my mom and dad took Jordan and Kylie a lot. And my ex-wife, her mother, took them quite a bit to fill in the gaps for our life. And it was not great, but I do remember that there was this storefront church in Winslow that had started. And my brother Big Mac came to my house one night, and he was on fire for God. And me and him had done a lot of ruckus in our life and done a lot of bad stuff. But God got a hold of his life, and he came to my house one night.
Was that after you got out of jail?
I haven't even been to jail yet.
So that's happened twice. All right.
I hadn't even been to jail yet. So you wanted my testimony, so now you get to hear some of the stuff. So I know that he came to our house and he began to share the love of Jesus with us, and he wouldn't leave us alone. And I think I was probably coming down and wanted to sleep lay in bed, but he wouldn't leave. He sat on our bed with us and kept talking about Jesus. And he said, I gotta go. I gotta get you a Bible. And he went and got me a Bible. And that was the start of it, of saying, man, I need to get back. Like the prodigal son. I'd been out too long, have tried everything, and nothing filled the gap or the hole. So he come back with the Bible, and so like I said, I dug into it a little bit, and I'm like, man, I said, you need to go to this church on Main Street in Winslow. And I think his name was Bill Meyerholtz, had that church then. That building's not even there now. It's been tore down. But I remember going there one night, and when I walked in, I don't know what the preacher said. I don't know what was happening. I know I sat down. I held on to the front pew. I held on to the pew in front of me, and I had white knuckle syndrome. I was holding on for dear life. I'm not sure. I believe there might have been an altar call. And if there wasn't an altar call, I just know I needed to get to Jesus. So I don't remember what happened from where I was sitting in the seat to where I ended up at the front. All I know is the tears came, and I didn't even know where I was. And Jesus touched my life that night. So everything changed from then. We started going back to church, and we started doing the things of God, and trying to relearn everything that I had learned as a child. Some of those things that I'd learned as a child was beginning to become real to me instead of just what I heard. Now I was experiencing those things for myself, began seeking God for myself. And somewhere down the road, it just comes back. It seems like addiction will get you again. And that's what happened. Just having a good job, had our home, everything was wonderful. We had our kids with us. And then destruction came through the marriage. And that's all I'm going to share about that. Destruction came to the marriage. I ran off and moved to Florida. And because I didn't want to fight with her over the kids or who was going to get the kids, I had her sign papers where we let my mom and dad have guardianship of them. And my goal was to move to Florida, get set up, get everything in order, and then I knew mom and dad would let me have Jordan and Kylie back, and I would take them to Florida, and that's where we'd be living. So I did go to Florida, and I tried really hard, but alcohol pretty well took over while I was there. I just tried to drink it away every day. That's what I did. I worked, but every day I would drink at work. I would drink on my way home from work, and then I would drink that whole night and then go to a club somewhere. And then I'd go to work the next day and start all over. There was a bar right beside. I was working at a nutrition shop in Tampa, Florida, and there was a bar right beside us. And we used to make them lunches and stuff like that because we made healthy food. So we would make healthy lunch foods. They'd order it, and then I would just walk it over there to them. But while I was there, I would get shots and do shots and then come back to work. So it was a horrible cycle. So my dad was trucking over the road at that time. So every time that he would know he was going to Florida, he would bring Jordan and Kylie and bring them down, and I would pick them up at a rest area. I'd keep them for a day or two or however long he was going to be in Florida making his rounds and doing stuff, and then he would come back and pick them up and take them back to Indiana. I was at work one day, and I got a phone call at work, which is strange because the phone call came on a phone that hangs on the wall with a cord. Believe it or not. And I had cell phones, and then I remember the cell phone things just starting, and we had a landline. Yeah, I didn't even know what it was called. We had a landline, and it rang into the kitchen, and I picked it up, and the lady that owned the store said, "You got a call." I'm like, "Hello," and it was their mother, and she wanted to get back together, and I said, "Fantastic," because my thought back then was, everybody deserves a second chance. No, aren't we glad that Jesus gives us more than one second chance? So I said, "Awesome." I said, "But I'm not coming back to Indiana. I'll never come back to Indiana." I said, "If you want to make this work, you're gonna have to figure out how to get down here." So she did. She got an airplane ticket and flew down there. But we never really could fix what was broken. Or maybe I couldn't forgive. I don't know. There was so many things, and plus the drinking didn't help anything. So when she got there, that's what we were doing. We went and partied and drank, and then so there was the option. You can come back to Indiana. The house is still here. Everything's still here. I can get you a job, and you can have the kids. The kids are here. So we drove back for you guys, and we came back being in a mess. We came back to Indiana. We had the house, and it was just not right. Things weren't right because God wasn't in the center of it. So I got the job, and the job was trucking over the road. And my dad worked at that company, and he got me there, and I started working that company, and then she went with me in the truck. But then we began to start using again. We were in Indiana. I don't want to give out names, but the family were drug dealers. All I can say is the family were drug dealers. And when you know the family, and you can have all the drugs that you want, it's free. You don't have to pay for them, just because your family show up, we'll take care of you. So the family took care of us while we were out on the road trucking. One night we left Huntingburg, Indiana in the truck, and we were heading south, and I come to where was I at? Coffee County, Tennessee. It's just south of Nashville, and it's before the big mountain. Come to Coffee County at the Manchester scales, and when I drove on the scales, they told me to pull the truck around back. So I pulled the truck around back, and I got out of the truck, and I went inside, and we were pretty strung out. But I thought I was hiding it pretty well. I went in, and while I was in there talking to one DOT officer, another state trooper came in, and I'm pretty sure that he had been following me or something, knew something, because you just get that sense, they know something's up. So there was some paperwork that I needed, so they sent me back out to my truck to get that paperwork. I walked out to the truck, and when I walked out of the thing, I could see the mirror on the passenger side of the truck. So I walked up and banged on the door, and she's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "But they're gonna search this truck, and you're my wife, and you don't work for this company." I said, "So you need to hide everything we got on your person. You need to hide it on you, because these two men officers are not going to search you. They're going to want to search this truck." Okay. I said, "Something's wrong." So I went back in with that paperwork. I got sent out again for the registration off the trailer. Twice I walked out to that truck. And I went in the third time. They said, "Can we search your truck?" And I'm like, "Sure." I thought this was all going to be great. This is going to work out just fine. So they came walking out with me, one on each side of me, and we're walking straight to that door, to the mirror, and I'm looking for her to see us coming. We get to the door, and she had rested, put her hand on her, and rested on the door, and hit the door, and woke up startled. They opened the door. They asked her to step out. She stood right beside me, and I said, did you hide that stuff? And she said, no. I said, we're getting ready to go to jail. We are going to jail tonight. And, you know, one jumped up in the truck, and he wasn't in there very long before he come flying out of that truck and, you know, arrested us. So that was the first time that I got arrested. And we went to the Coffee County Jail. I didn't call anybody. I didn't want to call anybody. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed after, you know, it's just one of them things you don't want nobody to know. And so I sat there, but she had called her dad. And 3 days later in Tennessee, you can get a mail bondsman person or whatever. They put up the bond for you to get you out, and he only had to pay a couple $100, something like that. And so they come and got us. 3 days later, they just come to the thing, Overby, being released. And I'm like, what? Yep, being released. And of course, wouldn't you know, it was the family that come and got us. And the family brought everything they needed, and all we did was get high all the way back. Well, the situation, we lost the home here, and we were back to no place to live. So we were living with a friend, and then the friend didn't want us there anymore because they knew we were getting high, and so we ended up at the family house. Now, we're supposed to go back to Tennessee and face these charges, but we're too busy getting high and living life. But finally, the house got raided. The whole family got raided. And we all went to jail, and we sat in jail, and one by one, they began to get out, because every one of us had different lawyers, court-appointed lawyers. And everyone got out, and I was the last one. But while I was there, I began to seek God, because a jail is a good place to begin to look into the Bible. You know, you get tired of reading other books. The Bible's always in the jailhouse. And so I was digging in the Word and finding, again, how empty I was and how I missed it. And began to seek God. And so I was trying to do the right thing while I was in there. And then finally, I was in there 6 months or something like that. Whatever the case, they finally said, we're letting you out on your own recognizances, because they had went too long before getting me into court to process or something. I can't really remember, but I just know they let me out on my own recognizances. And when I got out, I was hurt again by the one I tried to give a second chance to. So I was done. I was so done. And that's where I run into April. Because April was at that house too, looking for. She was looking for Jesus too. She just didn't know it. But I was so done with that relationship. This things wasn't working out, and I was really trying to do things the right way. And of course, I had nowhere else to go, so I went right back to the house full of drugs, and was just fed them. And I run into April, and we started hanging out. And you know, maybe I went about everything the wrong way, but I wasn't truly living for Jesus yet. I was still trying to do things on my own, or trying to make things happen. How many has been guilty of that? Let me try to make this work out. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna make it work out. So we tried. So anyway, I hooked up with April, and of course you've heard her tell her story. You know, I still was praying even though I was getting high, and you might not think that's possible, but it is, because I did. I prayed even while I was sticking the needle in my arm and getting high. I'm like, this girl needs Jesus so bad. And she saw something in me that I didn't see. There's still something inside of me. She saw a light that she hadn't seen in anybody else. And trust me, I wasn't feeling that light. But I wanted to see God save her. And I know that I prayed about me and her and our relationship. And I had good grounds to separate from the first one. And so anyhow, God said, he spoke to me. He said, you can have her, but I'm going to save her. And I don't know if that was just so I wouldn't be trying to fix her, wouldn't trying to be the guy. Let me show you how to get saved, or you know what I mean? I think God was like, I'm going to show her. I'm going to save her. So that's how we got together. It was shady at the beginning. We almost didn't make it either because we were addicted. And so, of course, through that, we got ran out of that house. And we went wherever we could go. We stayed with another friend, and we began to cook dope ourselves and sell dope. And horrible. Still the other place that we were at, we had plenty of money, and then we wouldn't have money, and then we'd have plenty of money, but we didn't pay bills with it. So we didn't have running water. We had electricity. But man, the chase of doing all that was so tiring. So tiring. I remember when we got raided that time, we were done. April was done. She was tired. I was tired. And when they showed up, I kind of was relieved. I think we'd both been praying for it to end. I think April was probably suicidal. We were both tired and done. And so when they showed up full force. Two different counties showed up because our house set on the county line, and they didn't know who was taking who. So when they showed up, we didn't try to hide. We just laid down, and they had to have a warrant to get in, and they didn't come with a warrant. They knocked on the door, but we wouldn't answer, so we laid down and played dead. And me and April fell asleep. And then, of course, finally, hour, 2 hours, I don't know how long it was, but we fell asleep. And then they finally made their way in and come up and got us. We were upstairs in that house. And they took us to jail. And it was like, man.
Was this when I was in high school?
Yeah. This is before the third one I'm getting ready to tell.
Okay.
The one,
so I didn't live
the one you remember.
Yeah, I don't know that one. Okay.
So we went in there, man, and God tried to turn us around again, give us every opportunity. And I remember my grandma coming to see me at the jail, and that's when we had the glass and the phones, you know, and she come to see me for the first time, and she was so happy, and she said, I just got to tell you, she said, I know that you don't like that you're locked up, but she goes, I prayed and prayed and prayed for you. And she said, now I know where you are. I can sleep at night because I know you're safe. And I'm like, man, my grandma happy that I'm locked up because now she can sleep. She was worrying about me that much every night, praying for me. So I always felt like, you know, I think when we went to jail that time, we started saying, you know what, once we come down and got cleaned up and started getting our thoughts normal again. I ain't talked about Spruce Street yet.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, that's a whole nother time, but I'm just saying what it took to get us where we are right now. That time, you know, we was, God's in the jailhouse. He really is. And God began to work on both of our lives in there. And we ended up, it was a miracle that we was able to get married in jail. We did get married in jail, and then right after we got married, she got sent off to prison, and I ended up staying there at the Pike County Jail. I had favor while I was in the jail. I was the trustee in the jail. I had full reign of the jail. I remember having Bible studies. I remember having prayer meetings under the stairs. I remember God moving in that jailhouse. I remember one time in cell block A, at one point, not one man did not come to prayer under the stairs. See, he was doing something with me then. That if I can do this with you here, you can do this out there. So I do remember the prayer under the stairs, and we did it every night before lockdown. You know, lockdown was at, I think, 10 o'clock. It might have been 11 o'clock. I don't remember. But lockdown is when you all had to go to your cells and they shut all the doors and you went to sleep and they shut off the lights. But 10 minutes before lockdown, we'd be like, prayer under the stairs. And we would all gather underneath the staircasing and we would hold hands and we would just pray for one another. And it was pretty powerful. And then when church would come, the whole block would go to church. We had baptisms in there, and just the move of God was happening in the Pike County Jail. So through all of that and getting out, me and April walked out and started going to a church. And we thought we were doing all the right things. She thought she was doing all the right things. She did everything that everybody told her. And I was, I guess, going through the motions. I don't know how hard I was seeking after God. I looked like everything was fine and doing okay. But just in a matter of time, like, I think I got hurt first. We bought our first house, the first house I've ever bought. We bought our first house. Jordan decided to come stay with us. Here he is again. Jordan decided to come stay with us. I think Eric was in and out a little bit with us. Kylie come and go. We were trying to build our family. I remember us all taking a vacation back when Ronald Reagan was giving out big checks. I don't think it was Ronald Reagan. I don't know who it was. That might be too long ago.
I remember going on vacation. I was 15.
Yeah. So I remember us going to Florida on vacation as a family, and it was so good. But we had got hurt, both of us, about the same time. I had hurt my back, and I don't know if she hurt her back or what happened, but I just want to explain how easy it can happen while we were in the church. You know, they give you those pain pills, and they do what they're supposed to do. They cover up the pain. But if the doctors keep giving them to you and you keep taking them, you'll finally become addicted to them. And so we both became real addicted to pain pills, to the point that we were eating them. I couldn't get out of bed without chewing 3 of them up. She would chew 3 of them up. I don't know if she chewed hers up. I chewed mine up. But hi, Kylie. I love you. Telling your story. And so I remember chewing them up, and we were still going to church, and we were still doing all the right things, and we were addicted to pain pills. And we got them for probably 2 years. 2 years. And after all of the doing everything we could, because you're allowed so many pain pills a month, or how, I can't remember how much a month, but she would get a script and I would get a script, but we were eating so many of them we would run out, so we'd have to figure out how we was going to get more, because you can't not go without them. So we begin to steal them and take them from people and connive and do all the horrible things to people that you love because of the addiction. So that went on, and once they quit giving us pain pills, where we couldn't even get them, we couldn't go nowhere to get them no more. We was coming off of them, and it's probably, this never even happened to me on meth. When we came down off of meth, all I needed to do was sleep about 3 days straight, and then I would wake up and start eating, and I would start feeling good again. But on pain pills, man, like the body begins to tingle and itch and ache, and all your feelings are coming back to your body, and it's like complete torture, and like you will do anything to alleviate that. And so when we'd probably been off them for a couple of days, and we were flipping out, and we were like, we heard, you know, if we smoked some pot, that'll alleviate the pain or alleviate the symptoms. So we went on the search for some marijuana, and we couldn't find none. The only thing we could find was meth. And we were so freaking out over this. We were like, sure. And we smoked some meth. I'm telling you, from that moment, it was 2 years of the pain pills, but everything else looked fine. Everything else looked great. 2 years of the pain pills, and then them being taken away, and trying meth again to alleviate the pain, was the door opened up again that we couldn't shut. I'm talking 1 month we did some meth. Second month we were smoking it. Third month shooting it. Fourth month we were making it, and kicked in the door again. Just a 3-4 month span, bam, the police showed up. And luckily Jordan wasn't there and the kids wasn't there. Kind of a family deal again, without my kids having to suffer through that part. We went to jail, and we were so ashamed and so broken, and just, it's crazy what meth can do to a life. But it destroyed us again, and it broke us apart. We lost our home. We lost everything we had again. Our house was ransacked. It was completely destroyed. As soon as people know that you've been arrested for meth, you can forget about all the stuff that you have. It's gone. It's getting taken. And so, man, just horrible. But we were pretty broken that time, and so ashamed. I remember April talking about how ashamed she was through that, and me too. And it's like, man, I cannot believe we got to start this over again. But this time, something different happened while we were in jail. There was another revival in jail. April went off and said, you know, this is it, you know. I'm gonna give it all I got. And she became a preacher while she was in jail. I became a preacher while I was in jail. I mean, I started our own meetings. We didn't, at this last time that we went to jail, we lost most of our ministers that come and would speak to us. So I started my own NA meetings with guys, and I just started leading stuff in there. And of course, again, the favor of God fell on me, and I became the trustee again and had full reign of the jail again. Why any of them would trust me to do that again is crazy, but the favor of God was on our life, and we talked about that this week. And God was just showing us, man, you're gonna have to put me first, and you're gonna have to stop trying to do things on your own. There's no power in myself to do things. The power is only in Him, and when I give it to Him. So the last time we went, and we come out, just both of us was different. God had done something different in our lives. You know, April says our greatest idea got us to prison twice. I've actually been more than that. You know, she has too. She's been to jail more than that, but that's what it took for us. And now we found a good church home, a good body, a functioning body. My son's sitting here with me. He loves me, I think.
Absolutely.
Even though I wasn't a good father, here he is. And my daughter, I think, loves me. God can restore anything. And that's truly the story that I want to give, is that it doesn't matter how far your kids look like they're getting away from God. If you give them the gospel and you keep uplifting them before the Lord, you got no choice. Just want you to know, you got no choice. God's going to get you His own way. And that's what He did for me, and that's what He did for April. And He has everything that the cankerworm has stolen from us, everything that the devil tried to take from me. God has given me an abundance of that over and over and over. I can sit here and look at, and I know God ain't about things, but if I just look at everything that I have around me with my natural eyes, I got too much to be thankful for. I have too much. I have too many things. And my family and my relationships and my job. And, you know, they said after you've been a felon so many times, you're not going to be able to get a job. I got an awesome job. I got an awesome boss. And I got good friends that I work with that I absolutely love with all my heart. And I pray for them all the time. Everything in my life is good. I don't have anything to complain about. You know, I did this 21-day fasting and praying, and I don't even know why I did it. I have no idea. I don't know what it was. And then somebody said, you need to give your testimony at the end of it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I thought about that coming down here today to do it. I'm like, man, I don't want to do this, because it's been a minute since I've told it, because we've spent time in Celebrate Recovery. We've had 4 or 5 years in Celebrate Recovery and given our testimony over and over, and we've done some cool things. And this last time we ran a house for battered women, and we did that for a season. We've got our feet in that. We understand it. In recovery and addiction, we understand it. Jailhouse stuff, we understand it. We've had the needle in our arms. We've had the lowest of the lows. We've had nothing. We've lived in our cars. I remember me and April living in our car. We would have to find cemeteries to park at night and sleep. We'd wake up and the windows would all be frosted up on the car, you know, from covered up in blankets, and just, we've been there. We've done that. And God just picked us up and said, man, if you just chase after me with all your heart, you just chase after me, I'll show you the goodness. I'll bless you. Goodness and mercy will follow you. It will chase you down. And that's what God has done for us, man. He's chased us down, and we've been consistent, sticking with him. Doesn't matter what we go through. Doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters. That line's the only thing that matters.
I like that picture.
So I told him, I said, I don't know who I'm talking to tonight. I don't have a friend on here. I'm just I haven't even really paid attention to the chat because I didn't want to lose concentration. But I just been staring at that line that you see, the line of the tribe of Judah on my screen. And he's the one that strengthens me. He's the one who's got me here. And I gotta say, you know, it's by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony that we overcome the enemy, the devil. He is a liar. You want to say anything? You want to share anything? I mean, you're here. She made you come down here, so I want you to share your heart, whatever you want to share, man.
I don't know. I thought it was weird that when you were living on Spruce Street, how blinded I was, because like I didn't see any of it. And I had people coming up to me asking me about it. They're like, "Are your parents on meth again?" I'm like, "You're crazy to think that they're on meth again." I was like, "They've been clean for like 10 years." We weren't, but
no. No, it was a horrible place to be. Horrible place to be. So we did good hiding it from you, huh?
For me.
People was just telling on us?
Everybody was like, well, it was like after you got busted, I could see it then. Well, the way you looked, for one. And then on top of that, it was...
I need to get this on my computer.
What?
This, so I could post it up instead of just trying to show it.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see. I don't want the light to blind us, but this is our last photo. That's when we went to jail. That's our mugshots. And that was the day that we got arrested, the last time. And that's how we looked. And that's how Jordan remembers seeing us. Lost, dry, empty, no light in us, no life, just death. We look like death. And then God said, I'm going to restore you. going to tell you what, if we looked anything like what we've done to ourselves, man, we should be some ugly people. I think we look pretty good for two different people. Absolutely two different people. John said, I couldn't believe you didn't know, Jordan.
I know.
He was too busy playing video games, man. He was wrapped up in video games.
Out skateboarding.
Skateboarding.
There was a day I came home and everybody, there were so many people in the house and they were all passed out on the floor.
Oh, man.
All over the place. I was like, must have been tired. I went and grabbed my skateboard and walked out the door.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. People were tired, Jordan. That's what happens when you come down. Gotta go to sleep somewhere. Restoration, Jacob said. Preach it. He is the king of restoration. Hug, hug, hug. Who you hugging? Them grandbabies. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, now we got grandbabies. That's special. It's ridiculous. We don't deserve none of it. We don't deserve any of it, man. And God said, watch what I can do with my kids. Amazing y'all look. What's good, Donnie? Did I miss anything that I need to see, April? I know you've been reading the chat. Yes, meth kills and destroys everything in your life. Absolutely. It's just like this. If I pick it up one time, it's over. If I pick up meth one day, the next day I'll quit my job. The third day I will, who knows what. Fourth day, it's like a quick cycle for me. It'll all be over. It'll all be over. I'll throw every bit of it away and it'll be gone. And I know me and April said this last time, said I ain't got another bit in me. Once you've been to prison and you start learning prison lingo, you know, that's doing a bit is going to jail and doing your time and then getting out and then getting another bit later. I don't have another bit in me. I can't. I don't want to go back to prison at 51 years old. No. You both and Connie are my rock. Well, just use our story and remember our story. Make Jesus your rock, man, because that's how we are where we're at. It's only because of him. It's only because of the lion right there. Man, he promises to restore everything, and he did that and above and beyond. Amen. Praise God. How long has this been happening? Oh, it's been an hour, so it's 4 o'clock. And I got 2 hours to, I've already got my message for tonight, but come and hear the rest of it. I'm not going to give my testimony tonight at church, though. I'm retired from jail. I've been enough that I have been retired from jail. No doubt. Man, oh man, it seems like a lifetime ago now.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years. Hit that 100 mark messages. Awesome. I promised to serve him every day of my life if he wouldn't let that time go in vain, and he didn't. That's right. He's a God of promises too, because that's one of the things that she prayed. Did God just use me? Just don't let this time that we spend the last time in jail and prison, don't let it go in vain. Let it have a purpose. And we have served him every day since then. And you know, this is so amazing. Part of a great church family. We've joined a awesome motorcycle ministry that we're part of. We continue to grow in that. I'm part of national staff. April's part of national staff. That's just ridiculous. What else we doing, April? I mean, most of these people already know, but we do a lot. We're constantly on the go and constantly busy doing the work of the Lord. And he gets all the glory. Jesus gets all the glory. He's used it all for his glory. Amen. Look at us now. We're all healthy and loving the Lord. Healthy as in fat? Yeah. Man, God has blessed us. So, Jordan, anything else you want to share? You're here. I mean, I got you here. I mean, you missed most all my Bible studies, and here you are. I'm looking at you.
I know. I've been staring at you the whole time.
Oh, you're staring at me up there too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're both looking at each other on a screen. Amen. Feed people slams. That's just good eating, Jacob.
What's that?
Slams? When we make those noodles, ramen noodles. I mean, you figure out how to make ramen noodles delicious. So delicious, you still eat them after you get out. We still eat them.
I like them regular.
You don't like our slams?
No.
Have you tried one?
Yeah.
Huh.
I want just the regular ramen noodle.
Well, I mean, you can do that. We just didn't want it that way no more. We was trying to fatten up. Your food's horrible. Okay. That's all I got. That's my testimony, and that's what Jesus can do. He can turn that picture that I showed you a minute ago into this. An old man. Oh, man. That's my story. I love you guys. See you tonight. All right? Everybody show up. All right? Hey, I just want to share too. This Sunday night, tomorrow's Monday. When you see me go live, don't come here, okay? You won't want to come here and watch me play games, because tomorrow night I will be streaming games. And Tuesday night, if you want to watch me and Justin, I think me and Justin might hook up and play some Shy Legends together. But you know, whatever, man. If you want to show up, you can. If you don't, it's all right. I love you guys, but Jesus loves you more. Peace out. Hey, you like that? But